Aloha from McGolf. Stay tuned and you're going to figure out why I just said it like that. Welcome back to the McGolf shop and Merry Christmas. It's about the middle of December, and saying aloha is because I just got a set of irons and a hybrid to put together from Hawaii. Really? Oh, Hawaii. That far away. This is like a record for me. So, Mike in Hawaii, thank you very much. So, what are we going to do? Well, we had a few emails back and forth. We talked to each other on the phone. Kind of came up with a game plan that we want to do. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be reshafting a Titleist 775 CB. This guy. Okay. And some score wedges. Score wedges. Remember score wedges? If you guys remember Eidolon, then they went to score. Nice wedge. And then we have an Adams. So this is a kind of a unique setup. So we're going to use some KBS 105s for the irons, and then I've got some KBS 610s for the wedges, and I have some jumbo size CP2s to go on there for the guy. Okay, so what do we got to do first? Well, since we're using parallel tip, we got to check and make sure if any of these guys are not. And of course they're not. Titleist likes using taper tip, and how we figure this out is I have my go no go gauge, and this is taper tip, and this one here is parallel. And if you watch this, see how that went right in there? Boom. All right, we flip it over to this guy. That's how far it goes. So we know we got to do some reaming. All right. We check this guy. I'm pretty certain. Voila. So we know we got that. And the last but not least, the score always gets a question. Do they like taper tip or not? Well, let's find out. Apparently they like parallel. So we know what we got to do for cleaning out. So before we get started on any of this stuff, the Adams, I don't know if you can see all that, but the Adams came scratched up. Not real bad. I mean, it's been used, which is a good thing. But I'm going to do a little bit of polishing on this guy. It came in there with a weight in the bottom. Thanks, Mike. And I took that one out already, which basically you just heat up the outside of the hosel, and you keep working an AWL, around and around, 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 around until it all breaks out, and then I reached in there with some needle nose pliers and just pulled the thing right out. So not too bad. So I'm going to try and polish some of this off. I'm going to try and bring this and make this a little brighter, a little smoother. Then we'll set this off to the side for the build. Then I'm going to remount these heads. And then we're going to clean them up because some of them have some surface rust and we send them back better than we got them. And then these guys we're just going to clean up on the wavy wheel, and then it's into the build. So this is going to be a couple part process. So you can stay there and watch me do the polishing, and then what will happen is I'll get you closer to my drill press and you can watch that happen, and then we'll probably stop there and then get into the build. So let's get started. Okay, so what happens after normal play, bag wear, getting in and out of the clubs, that the paint tends to scratch a little bit and it gets a little duller. If you can tell the difference from beforehand, and you see now, you can see the light that's reflecting that's behind the camera, and We cleaned up the bottom quite a bit. And then what normally gets neglected is the hosel. And a little polish on there. Now it looks like a pretty good club head, so we'll set that to the side. Alright, so I'm going to move you around. We're going to go look, get close to my drill press, and then we'll start reaming some clubs. Okay, now we're back to this side. And what I've already done is I got my clamp. It's already in there, already clamped in. And what we do is we put the club head against my pad here, so that if it was to catch and slam, it wouldn't ding anything up. I've got it in there pretty nice and tight. Normally I would just go ahead and do one or two dry. I know my machinist friends are going to go crazy with that one, but since we're going to do a whole set, what I'll do is, what they really want you to use is cutting oil, and that's okay. Cutting oil is the perfect item for the job. However, cleaning it up is problematic. You really have to get into the hosel to make sure there's no residual oil so the epoxy will stick. WD-40 is just way easier, so that's what I tend to use. So what I've got it in here is I've got it so it just goes right into the top of this. You can just see there's a very close clearance there. And then I've got this, my stop is all the way to the top, because what will happen is when I get to the very bottom, it will tell you that you're there, but pretty much we'll get really close to this too. Okay, so I'm into the middle of the reaming process, and you've seen me squirt the WD-40. Acts as, when they say cutting oil, does it help the machine cut? Well, the answer is yes, but it helps cut down on the friction, which is really what builds up heat. You get it too hot, and what happens is they basically seize together, and that's not good. So far with this, it's been keeping it cool. I'm not taking a real big bite out of the bottom, so it works out pretty good. What I've been doing is so far I've been able to get all the way down to the bottom, but all the shavings sometimes will get towards the bottom. So I'll clean those out, knock them out of the bottom, and then go back in to make sure I get all the way to the bottom, to make sure that that they're all the same when I get done. So now that I don't have any more customers in here, we'll do one right here and we'll talk our way through it. Always want to go sure and smooth. You can hear how it changed its grunting. Oh, almost stopped there. All right, and you can tell them, the machine itself will tell you how it's doing. It tried to bite a little bit, which is okay. I'll take it out of here. I'll just try this. There we go. I would show you the bottom, but it's now clear. And if you notice, see all the stuff that's on the bit, it was clean just before we started. So that's how much it's taken out of there. Nice and easy. And I can tell I got to the bottom because it leaves a little ring on the bottom of the hosel. Alright, so we'll tap it out and we'll clean it out. And then when I'm all done, I will dump acetone in each one of them, and I will take those 2x2 paper towels that I cut and I've shown you on a lot of other builds, and I'll corkscrew them in and I'll pull them back out to make sure everything has been nice and cleaned up. And then the brush that I've been using, I'll put that in a little acetone to make sure it's washed off as well. Let's do one more, and then we'll move on to our next piece. You saw it grab there, that's when it's starting to get just a tad hot and it was trying to bite a lot. No need to get too worried because you just pull it right back out or undo it just like you saw, and away we go. I got down to the bottom of that one, alright. Alright, so I'm going to finish these other two and then we'll move on to a build. Now we're moving on to cleaning these guys up a little bit. And we'll start with this one. This is the 5. And you see there's a little bit of discoloration. That's just probably from the removal of the ferrule. And a little, I don't know, used up on the bottom. And not real bad as far as rust on this one, but I'll show you a different one. So I'm just going to use a wavy wheel. And it's a nylon, 3 nylon wheels with a wavy platform. This I get from Golf Works. So we're going to try and make this look a little bit better. Alrighty, so that's what it looks like now, and the bottom's a little bit cleaner looking. And then the one place that a couple people always try to forget is this toe area. If you got a steady hand, you can run it up and down that area. And then the trouble spot for just about every grinder or club maker is in this area. I can just sneak it up in there and dress it up just a little bit. But that's that one. Now, this one is going to be problematic. This is the 6. If you look at that, there's some good sized surface rust on there. So I'm going to clean it up just like I did before, and then I'm going to try and hand brush this rust off. And if it doesn't, I'm going to try and machine it. The real problem here is that stuff inside there is painted. So I run the risk of removing the paint. So the question is, do you want the rust on there with the paint, or do you want to have the rust off with no paint? And because repainting it won't look the same as the rest of the set unless you do the whole set, and that's not what we're doing here. So we're going to try and get most of it off the first time. So let's see how it works out. Okay, the outside cleaned up pretty good. Did well, right? Got all that. So now let's see what we can do about this surface rust. I just thought of something. All right, we had to make a command decision, and Mike, this is what I decided. You see in there where there's a lot of corrosion. All right, this is probably one of the better ones. I've done a couple already. I'm not quite out of it yet, but right there, see there's some corrosion in there, and I just wanted to make them look good. So what I've got is I've got a Dremel tool with a polishing kit, and that's just like basically a small wavy wheel, only I can get in there without really tearing it all apart. So this is the 8 iron. I haven't even done anything to the outside, but I want you guys to take a look at this. Alright, now I'm going to do my thing here. You can see all that. Especially down here on the bottom, in this bottom of the cavity. Now this is with the first brush, and now you see how it's gone. But like we talked earlier, it was removing a little bit of paint. So I just opted for the paint removal, mostly because you know, the steel, although forged, where'd I go? it's better. It won't rust, you know, any worse or any more, but it'll certainly look cleaner. So I'm going to finish it up with this guy, and then I'll show you the end result there. So now it's nice and shiny on there, cleaned up, and then it's all said and done in there too. So we're going to do some more. Okay, from this to next. What do you think? I think it looks pretty good. Last one. Okay, so I guess as I did this, I got a little bit better with the positioning of where I had to put the Dremel tool with the grinder on it, and started removing it better. Now it does look cleaner. That is for sure. We put a little coat of wax on it, and it should last for quite some time. So Mike, hopefully I'm giving you something back that looks way better than what you gave. So we're going to go clean these out. When we talked about the acetone, I'm going to clean those out, and then we'll come back and we'll do a build. Some jumbo sized, again, every time,